Hey guys, what's up? It's Filthy Casual, and I am here to give you a small review of patch 7.3.5 leveling changes a couple months after release. I believe that I needed to put this out a couple months after I played the content and leveled 2 characters to 80 and 1 character to 110, just so I had a better impression to give you guys about the leveling changes overall. Because it's definitely going to be different doing it the first time than doing it the third time. So, just if you weren't there for patch 7.3.5, a quick review is that zones now scale. This is from MMO Champion, obviously, a couple maps of the scaling. So Cataclysm zones will go from like 1 to 60 or like 20 to 60, while Mists of Pandaria zones can go from 80 to 90, etc., which is pretty nice and overall a really good change. I have been questing for quite a bit on my characters, and I really enjoy the scaling mechanism, because I'm able to finish quest lines and all that, which is what people have been demanding for a long time. So, as you can see more of the scaling here, it has a great first impression. You're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I want to go and finish these zones and level and have a great time with my friends, and you can group up with your friend at level like 50 as a level 30 and do quests together. Which is amazing, I agree. It is fantastic. Another thing to keep in mind is that they raised the general health of mobs and decreased the strength of heirlooms, basically. So your heirlooms will not let you one-shot mobs anymore. You're going to have a little bit more time whacking the stat sticks, basically. Because, I don't know, I think it does help make the game a little bit more challenging, and that was pretty much the intent, if you ask me, was to help new players not feel like their combat doesn't matter or their abilities don't matter. It lets them know that there's more to the game than just one-shotting a mob, obviously. And this is a really great change to me. This also carries over to dungeons, where you will have more time killing mobs and trash and bosses, and you will have to rely on your team knowing mechanics and taking great amount of damage. It's almost kind of like when you went from Wrath of the Lich King Heroics to Cataclysm dungeons, that shift in difficulty, but not as severe, definitely not as severe. Now, this wouldn't be a rant if there was something I did not enjoy. And as you can see, there have been a couple of experience increases for the level ranges. This one's 1 to 60, and this is where my problems start to come in, and a lot of the community's problems start to come in. A lot of people argue that they don't enjoy the mob's health scaling upwards and stuff like that, but I would say that's pretty significant to a new player's impression of the game and their overall enjoyment. Whereas this change right here, along with, I should add that not only did they increase experience from 1 to 60, you are also having your heirlooms cap at 50% and recruit friend cap at 50% as well, and neither of those stack. So if you got the heirloom rings, sorry, you're out of luck, because those aren't going to be adding to 55% or 60%. So moving on. They greatly increased the experience needed to go from 1 to 60. The argument was that you're going to be spending more time in zones and there's less travel time, so overall your time played is going to be about the same. Which I agree. In some cases, it is faster now to level from like 1 to 30 or 1 to 40. But I would say the issue comes in from 50 to 80. For some reason, there is a pretty big like exponential curve of experience, and you really start gaining a lot less for your time. For example, here, let me see. Here's my character that I have leveled to 80. As you can see, 75 talents, all of that. My experience leveling this character, who is a Worgen, so I went from 1 to 80, has been pretty negative. This is the third character I am leveling after the 7.3.5 changes, and while the first character I really enjoyed and didn't matter that I had that exponential increase of experience, going through it a couple times, you start to really recognize it, and it really does take around 45 minutes for one level. And considering the amount of levels, especially from 60 to 80, where you're doing content that's only 10 years old, only a couple, 7 years old. Clearly not a big deal, guys, right? No, it's horrible. You're doing this old content over and over and over, grinding these dungeons, and the dungeons themselves don't even give a full level. This has changed in after I got out of 80, the 80 zone, the 80 range, things got a lot better experience-wise. I felt like I was really gaining levels a lot faster, which seems backwards to me. But doing the level 60 to 80 dungeons kind of destroyed me. You would not even get a full level. You had to deal with your group mates maybe not knowing the mechanics or not used to the scaling and the health of the mobs. And it was so aggravating. But you would do all that, and it would take maybe 45 minutes, sometimes an hour if you have a really, really bad group. You would do all this, and you would only get like 3/4 of a level. At least that much. Barely, not even a full level. And it just doesn't feel good. You're coming from a time where you could do one dungeon and maybe get 2 levels in that zone, and you're speeding through content, and you go and you hit this roadblock that is 7.2.5. And as a returning player who has played both Final Fantasy XIV and WoW, it just does not feel rewarding when you come back to a game and something that you thought you could do is taken away from you. But I can understand the decision. I mean, for new players and returning players who have not played for a very long time, this might be a good throwback to the past or a good impression of the game. But for those of us who have, and those of us who have been playing a while and we have all of the heirlooms, like, I don't have all the heirlooms, but I have a pretty good amount. It just seems pointless. Why don't heirlooms have a bigger experience gain? If I'm going through this process for my 4th time or my 3rd time or my 10th time, why do I need to go through these zones again? Especially if you're someone who has Lore Master, if you're someone who played these expansions intensively, you're not going to have a good time. There's so much that needs to be done, especially for that 60 to 80 range. It is quite a struggle. Especially questing. Even questing does not feel like it's too rewarding. Especially in today's gaming time and age of gaming, a lot of people just want to log on and get something done, right? So if I want to log on and get to level 83 or 82 or whatever it is, that should not take me more than, I would say, an hour of intense play. And at some levels that did, especially in Burning Crusade zones, where some quests would have you grinding mobs for a bunch of objects for reputation quests that are still needed for Lore Master, stuff like that. It's just not fun. I tried to get a little bit of Lore Master of Outland, and I did these 3 zones. Some are fine, but this is old content. And so you get to Blade's Edge, and you need a daily reputation for Lore Master. And you're like, why? And stuff like that. And I understand, like, adding difficulty to the game and making mechanics more challenging, but just bloating the time you need to level is just pointless to me. Especially when every single expansion up until now, we have been decreasing the amount of time needed to level through that expansion, or the old expansion. And now in Battle for Azeroth, we're suddenly taking this turn of the old content matters and you need to spend over 100 hours to get to level cap, when level cap could be theoretically 120, because that's coming up, right? That's 2 times the cap of vanilla. There's 2 conflicting sides here. This content should matter, but I think it's starting to matter for the wrong reasons. I think it's starting to matter for time played, and it's starting to matter for just keeping players within that content for a long amount of time, and it does not feel good or rewarding. It really, really, really does not. Now, what I think could be done to fix this, and I would love to hear you guys' opinions down below as well. I think what could be done to fix this is maybe adding more heirlooms for the bracer socket, or the shoes, or just anything that like fills the entire heirloom set, I guess. Another thing I could see happening that could help is maybe increasing the experience gains of pre-existing heirlooms. Because the reason I'm saying heirlooms too is because remember back in the day where, like, not back in the day, just kidding, but a couple months ago where leveling took about like 2 seconds and you one-shotted things and people were getting kind of upset. They could always take their heirlooms off and do Iron Man challenge or something else. When Iron Man challenge is where you like don't wear any greens or any blues and you make leveling like super hard. You can change the power of your character by equipping certain gear. Nobody feels obligated to wear heirlooms unless their intent is to level fast and their intent is to get out of that content, or their intent is to meet with their friend at endgame or something. Like, this is a choice. It's a choice to wear heirlooms. So if I'm making this choice, why can't I also have an increase that choice, or just more of a choice? Like, that's all I'm saying. I think that there's people who enjoy this leveling experience for a reason, and I don't want to take that away from them. But I think we need something here to help people who do not enjoy this leveling experience or have a level to it already. And I understand there's the option of not leveling, but for players who play on RP servers, or players who play very casually and do not experience the end game as much, leveling could be a very fundamental part of the game for them. And these changes could potentially drive them away from the game or leveling, or just decrease their time played, I guess, essentially. So we just need more options. That's always the answer, right? More options. I really think that would help right now. And again, I really would like to see what you guys have, like any ideas for fixing this, or what, if you disagree with me, that's good too. In a time where you're selling an expansion with a level boost, can you really say you care about the previous expansion's content? Can you really say that you care about that content and that you want players to do it when you package a free boost in with it? I just don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. But I hope this wasn't too much of a rant for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me. I hope you guys have a good time leveling or doing whatever it is in the World of Warcraft right now. And if you like this video, please leave a like and follow me at Filthy Casual and all that stuff. Thank you. Bye.